So what happens if you escape a psych ward? Stay tuned for the video.
Hop in the booth, I only say what is true. She don't know Jimmy Choose.
What up though, J Nation? It's your boy Jay Pitts and you are watching J Nation TV. Welcome to another Psych Ward Sunday. My name is Jay Pitts. We started off on TikTok telling Psych Ward stories. They were going mega viral. So I decided to do more long form content over on YouTube, which you guys have been enjoying. Sundays, we have Psych Ward Sundays where I share a story about my experiences in the psych ward as a mental health tech. Wednesdays is Psych and Society where I give my opinion on, I guess a psych subject and how that applies to our society and greater society. And Fridays are reaction videos where I do a reaction to something psych related or a disorder or even some of you guys' stories. And I'm also working on some new content for Fridays, so y'all can stay tuned for that. Go ahead, drop a like. Definitely make sure you subscribe. In the comment section today, I want you to tell me, how do you think one escapes a psych ward? What do you think actually has to go down? A plan potentially to escape the psych ward. Let me know your opinion or your viewpoint on it in the comment section. Let's get into the video. Contrary to popular belief, the psych ward is not as hard to escape as people might think. It depends on where you're at though and what type of facility. I'm not about to tell people in this video how you would escape a psych ward. Because even if I did, it would just apply to the flaws of the facilities I've worked in, and it wouldn't be able to be blanketed across everything else. And I will say, from the times that patients have escaped the psych ward, usually it was either by brute force or they caught a staff member slipping. And if you got it, you got it. And if you got the ability to catch a staff member slipping, you got it. But depending on how the system works, you might not be able to do it. But what I really want to answer today is what happens once a patient does escape? Are they going to get chased down by staff? What is our job? You might be surprised by the protocol that psych wards take when a patient escapes. If a patient escapes a psych ward, depending on how far they get and how they're acting, if they're running away from you as staff, you are directed not to chase them. You do not chase them. You don't want to do anything that can have them act erratic or have them do something that could put them in further danger. Because let's say you're chasing the patient to try to get them back on the unit. They're clearly trying to escape and stay away from you, and they make it off of the unit into the streets, as I've seen happen before in my personal experience. You can't run, because if they get hit by a car, guess who's liable? The staff. So with that knowledge that we have, the times that I've seen a patient escape, I'll tell you one particular one. I've talked about this on TikTok, but there was literally a patient, I might have actually talked about it on here too, but he threw a whole couch through this window in the group room. He picked up an entire sofa. It was like torn down leather. I don't know why they had that dusty couch in there anyway, but he picked up the whole thing, threw it through the window. He had on nothing but, he had one sock on and then barefoot, jumped out. This guy is not young either. He was like 50 something, probably, maybe even older than that. But you know, that don't mean you old when you get there, but he picked up a whole couch. When you're psychotic, there's just things that your brain just fills in for you, where it's like you got super strength, you're able to focus on other things that your brain focus on because you're not able to, I don't know how that works, I don't know, but you get what I'm trying to say. He threw that whole couch through the window, jumps out that mug, starts taking off on top of the glass, bloody feet, literally leaving a foot trail of blood, and he goes across the street to Jimmy John's. Y'all remember this one? So we literally, I was just starting to work. So I'm like, yo, should we go after him? It's a whole hole in the thing. So they shut down the group room, escorted the patients out, and they just said, no, we just go look to see what direction he went in, and then we called the police. I said, what? I said, what? So they called the police, and they end up arresting him at Jimmy John's, well, or detaining him, I suppose, because he didn't take him to the station. He's still a patient. Bringing him back to the psych ward where his wounds were treated properly, and he was given some type of sedative, and he wasn't, and then he was put on a one-to-one where staff had to be with him. So if you escape the psych ward and the police find you, you know what I mean? They're going to bring you back. It's going to be like a whole dang on pretty much Amber Alert, because depending on the type of individual you are, you might be considered a danger to society. It's been patients that have been, that have escaped that were a danger. This guy was actually one of the patients that could have been a danger to somebody, especially a child. Because if y'all remember this story where I was talking about this guy, this is the guy that had a whole rap sheet full of some heinous things that he was doing to children. And I'm gonna just leave it at that. There was another time a patient escaped and he just walked out, because this was when a staff was caught slipping. There was construction happening on the unit, and there was one gated area where you need a swipe access badge to release it, and the construction workers had a badge for the day because they were coming in and out, and it was easier to just have them have a badge than to have staff constantly swiping them out coming off of their posts. But these guys left the door open, and it just so happened that we were taking the patients outside. And the way that they were going outside, it's still guarded in the courtyard, but that back gate that the construction workers were using to bring in materials was left open. And so this kid escapes, and he just starts walking down, and we're like, seeing him walking towards the fence. We're like, okay, but it's not open though. And then we see him just whoop. So he was watching the whole time through the window of construction. Starts walking all the way down the street. He probably makes it a good like half mile down the road. And we called the police. And if y'all heard this story, this is the time where the police were being some a-holes at the time, because I'm clearly dressed in my staff uniform with gloves on, the hospital insignia, my badge, everything. And then when the patient comes back, because he walks back for whatever reason, he walks back, police are there, we're all waiting to receive him. And then the police, as soon as he comes back, this guy says, "So is this the patient?" and points at me. Bruh, if I ain't never wanted to smack somebody so hard, I always didn't like the cops in that area. Those are also the cops in the area that aimed a firearm at me and my fiance at the time, who was not my wife. But like, yeah, this wasn't even a traffic stop. They were like really just harassing, saying, "Oh, somebody called and said you were staking out." Okay, I'm parked outside her crib, and I'm here all the time. Neighbors know, man, whatever. Whole nother situation. But yeah, those are the type of cops we dealing with in that area. And but you know, dog ended up getting brought back. He got a sedative and he had to serve his days. I don't think that the hospital is retaliatory when it comes to them extending your stay or the amount of days that you stay in the hospital for escaping. They might adjust your meds, or that might be something that affects your treatment plan if you decide not to be compliant. I'm pretty sure that does give you some extra days, though, just practically speaking, because I could just hear the doctor right now, like, if you can't survive in this environment, what makes you think I should release you to the world and where you're ready to deal with real problems? I can see that, and it's a way for them to justify. And sometimes that really is the case, and somebody is like, you know, if you escape in the hospital, bruh, come on now, we know you got some issues. So yeah, I don't know if that gives y'all some insight, you know, but that's staff position. They're not gonna chase. There was actually one time where a patient that was supposed to be brought to our floor, he was on not ICU, but another floor where he was getting treated because he was super intoxicated. So intoxicated to the point where he became extremely psychotic. So they were trying to bring him to our floor, but he was way too unruly and they needed to stabilize him. So homie ended up waking up, pulling IVs from him, leaking blood all over the hospital floor, runs down the stairs to the exit, takes off in the middle of the street into oncoming traffic with gowns on. This is now a security issue. I don't think the security in the hospital are trained like the psych ward techs are trained, because he chased. Oh, he chased him across the street into oncoming traffic. I'm sitting there thinking, like, are you serious? Like, my job description says I should stop, but he wants me to help him. So I'm just briskly walking and, as he goes, because I'm like, wherever he go, he's not going to make it far. He's intoxicated, but he is a danger, and we see where he's going, and he's kind of boxed in. So this security guard, he's dressed kind of like a cop. Like, he has the same color on, he has the badge, he has the gun on his hip, he has all the, he has cuffs. And a lot of these security guards are retired police officers or from the military anyway. So this guy has him in a hold. And bro, this is like right after like some BS has been going on with like, cops in the media and stuff like that. So you got people honking their horns that he has this guy down on the ground trying to detain him and bring him back to the hospital. It was just a sight to see. So I ended up helping him, bringing him back across the street safely. And what ended up happening is after like 6 hours, when this guy was sober, because this wasn't a psych floor, he could check himself out. He said, no, I don't want to be here. No, I don't want to be here. I don't need to be here. I've done everything, And they couldn't legally keep him. So he was able to find his loophole or whatever. So yeah, escaping the psych ward isn't the easiest thing to do, but if you end up doing it, it might feel a lot easier than what you expected. But best believe that the police will probably bring you back for your own safety. It's just one of the things they do. But let me know if that's something that you expected. Let me know what you thought about this story. Sound like the fam is getting ready to hustle, bustle, and do stuff for the day. So thank y'all for watching. J Pitts out.